Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF and on today's episode we're going to be checking out another Firkin whiskey company. Now you guys know, if you've been following me for any length of time, I like a Firkin whiskey. I've been buying these at like kind of a relatively new independent bottler on the scene, but if you know your kind of whiskey history, and I'll be covering this in a Dram Slam that is coming up, I promise you. It's just taking me a little while to edit these things through, but I've got the guy who's behind this, Mike Collins, who's a big ex-Diageo marketing guy, so let's just say he knows his stuff, right? Now he's selecting whiskies to be produced under this name, and I'll go into a little bit about the barrel choices in a moment, but today we've got the Firkin Islay. Now there's 4 different brand names they've got. This is the Firkin Islay, and they have a couple of others that kind of really denote what they are. I've really enjoyed like every single one that I've covered so far. I think I've covered most. I've got another one I think to do. I've got a Tully Bedine to do that will be coming up somewhat shortly. I don't even know really why I'm tardy on this. I have to say, I expected this to be sold out already, and at time of recording anyway, it isn't. So there'll be links in the description below if you want to get into that. But we'll go through the review first and see where we're at. Anyway, this is a Firkin Islay, so that's going to be an Islay whiskey that's been then transferred into these casks, and in this case we've got a Caol Ila. This is a Caol Ila 2010. I'm not sure exactly when this was bottled, but I think it was around the 2020 mark, so I'm going to sort of roughly say this is about 10 years old, but can't say for certain. Now obviously this it's a lot of money. It's £69, but we'll get into the value after the tasting, as always. This is a 48.9, just like they all are, and technically it's a single cask, right? So how these guys do their casking, what they'll do is they'll buy the whiskies. In this case, I imagine this was in like an ex-bourbon barrel or whatnot. They try the whiskey that's in there whenever they've got hold of this cask, and they marry that up to a fortified wine. In this case, it's Marsala. Now this isn't just simply a case of a Marsala cask. Now this is a specially created cask that's been kind of personally built for them. I'm not going to go too much to detail into that because it is kind of long, but you know, you can watch some of my other Firkin videos if you really want to see, or wait till that Dram Slam comes out, because we go into that a little bit more deep. But there's a reason why this carries a decent price tag. You know, this is not a cheap way to make whiskey. So yeah, essentially we've got Caol Ila spirit that's been then transferred into a specially made cask that's been seasoned with Marsala wine in this case. Pretty cool. Now let's get straight into the tasting, I think, because then we can see exactly what we've got. Natural colour, non-chill filtered, all the things that we love, and I think I said earlier 48.9%. Pretty good stuff. Let's get into it and see what we've got, shall we? Now, as I always say, preface with kind of a peated whiskey. If you don't like peated whiskey, this is quite strongly peated. It's not the heaviest in the world, but it is, you know, it's a heavily peated Caol Ila, without a doubt. And it isn't overly complex on the nose. For me, I mean, I'm not overly familiar with Marsala wine, but on the nose, I'm not getting much in the way of anything different from what I would get from a normal Caol Ila. It's probably a little bit deeper. Caol Ila tends to be quite a fresh nose. For me, it's heavily smoked, and there's a lot of kind of tannic elements to it, I want to say, like leatheriness, oakiness, that kind of thing. Also a touch of brininess that I get from, you know, usually I get from Caol Ila anyway. Let's try on the palate. Now, the palate on this thing is where it really shines. Oh, it's so good. It's I mean, I have to assume that this is the Marsala cask coming through, but marrying with the smoke, it's obviously quite smoky, but it's got this kind of like barbecued meat kind of vibe about it. And then it kind of moves on a little bit into kind of a fruitiness, which is something I wasn't expecting. It's kind of, it's not overly sweet, let's say, but it's it's definitely got kind of a berried fruit thing going on about it. Really lovely. And then the finish is like just massive. It's just absolutely massive. Long, peppery and fruity. And then as it dies out, you get kind of a waft of that kind of smokiness coming through again. So yeah, very Caol Ila with this kind of extra dynamic to it. bringing me right onto the end, and as I said earlier, you know, this is not a cheap whiskey. It's £69, I guess, plus delivery. In the UK, at least, it's available on TopWhiskies, but I think it's available in, I want to say, Germany and Japan as well. So if you're in any of those regions, then check it out. But yeah, for me, yes, it is a lot, but this is what I love about whiskey. I wouldn't ordinarily spend 70 quid very often on a bottle, but these guys have piqued my interest so much so that I tend to buy whenever I can with this kind of stuff. So I've bought all of these so far, basically. You know, you guys know that I get some bottles for free sometimes, and I always say when I do or I don't, these ones I buy because you know, they're a small outfit, they can't afford to send me bottles, but they're just so good I have to buy them. Yeah, really enjoying the Firkin Whiskey Company, and hopefully this will pique your interest and you might go and check this one out, because if you're into smoky whiskey and you want something a little bit different, that I mean, for me, it's blowing my mind. Maybe it won't blow yours, I don't know, but yeah, it's just absolutely astounding. The last one I covered from theirs was the Leche in I forget which ones it was in, but that was kind of an epiphany whiskey, almost like a life path altering whiskey, genuinely. And this is on that sort of lines. I wouldn't say it's quite life path altering, but this one here, I'm gonna have to hide this from myself. You can see, like, I'm halfway through it, and I hadn't even done the review already. So yeah, this one's gonna go pretty quickly, I think, because it's just that good. But yeah, I'm gonna have another sip, and hopefully you're gonna check them out. But if not, I'll see you again on the next No Nonsense Whiskey video. Cheers.